Hello, everybody.
Hey TJ, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Nice one. Nice one.
I'm sorry, my accent game isn't very strong. It was like my fifth or sixth call already this morning.
Yeah, I've seen
All
your
good stuff.
calendar looks very busy.
Yeah, some interesting people are interested in the reactor. So I'm not going to be that phone call. What's that phone call FOMO person? But in the future, when we close something, it's definitely going to be exciting.
Good stuff. Welcome everyone to another AMA on Twitter Spaces. It will predominantly be myself and TJ, and out of those two, predominantly TJ answering questions with regards to questions. Sorry, TJ, can you mute the bit there, mate? Looks like you're typing at about 1,000 miles an hour there. Thanks. So what we'll do is we'll wait a couple of extra minutes to make sure that enough people join who want to, and then we'll get straight underway again. We'll get straight underway with questions that you deliberately have for us specifically. I imagine surrounding the roadmap that was released approximately an hour ago, and this second part will possibly be parts of that specific roadmap, and then we might allow Jasper up to talk a little bit about Arc.apes at some stage. So we'll wait another minute, guys, and then we'll get cracking.
We'll get cracking. It's a shout out to one of our whales, Kraken.
Oh, I thought you were making fun of my accent. Okay, guys, we'll get straight into it because I appreciate the people who turn up on time. So if they're late, they can just join midway through. Um, so thanks again for joining us. As I mentioned earlier, we've released the roadmap. Obviously, it's been a long time coming, and I think you can probably see from the level of detail that's gone into it, is there's been a considerable amount of thought put into that. So what we'll do is I'll TJ, if it's all right with you, I'll just go straight onto Discord and read out some of the messages or some of the questions, sorry, that have been asked prior to the AMA by some of the community members. So the first one.
Well, hey George,
Oh,
did you actually want to do an overview of the roadmap?
go for it. Go for it. If you want to do that, we can do. It's out on Twitter at the moment. Specifically, probably just worth going over the reactor parts of the roadmap.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
let me just drag it up here for you, TJ. So we've got the exact one, so I don't do it by memory. Give me 2 seconds. Yeah. Here it is. Right. So, do you have that in front of you, TJ, or do you want me to ping that over to come off a call.
Now I got it in front of me.
Okay, cool. Happy days. So let's go with the remainder of this year. Let's start off with the remainder of this year and where from where we're at the moment, leading to sort of December the 31st, when that sort of when the calendar year finishes. Do you want to give a slight synopsis on where we're at, and maybe you could tie in a little bit of some of the conversations you've been having with some third parties as to sort of where that movement's going?
Yeah, I mean, movement's all good, of course. There's a lot of people that are interested in the reactor. One of the partnerships we've just closed down, not pen and paper yet, but we're already working hand in hand and handing leads off, or they're handing leads off to us, is a company that's handling dev services and audits. And they have a huge inbound funnel. Um, Partially created by one of their co-founders, which is this big YouTuber, and they could potentially have 10 to 15 leads to us a month, for dev services and audits with the reactor, which of course will be way more in depth and a lot cheaper than anything else out there in the market. So that's exciting. But getting down to let's get granular about our Q4 roadmap here, just before the year ends. We're going to be doing a compiler upgrade, which essentially means that our compiler, which is what allows us to push contracts to mainnet, will have more functionality. We're going to be able to push more dynamic staking mechanisms as well as finish our business model with this upgrade. Meaning that, let's say a user has 10,000 ARC and they want to access the reactor. Well, accessing the reactor, you're going to have ARC staked, period, to access it. It's proof of stake. It helps keep the system secure. Um, but then if you want discounts on your push fees across a network, or if in the future you want to let someone loan, or you want to loan out your ARC to someone so they can have discounts to push fees, you'll be able to have it with this upgrade we're doing. Essentially, you have 10,000 ARC stake, that's 0% discount. 25,000, that's a 10% discount, and all the way up to a million. And the more ARC you have staked, the more you have discounted whenever you're pushing to different main nets. Then, as far as the UI APIs, that essentially allows us to have third parties and developers work on the reactor without having access to the reactor source code. We obviously want to keep the reactor source code very secure, while at the same time making it scalable. So this UI API will position us well for upgrades in the future, like team upgrades or AI upgrades we have planned, which is exciting. And then design as well, of course, with that UI, user interface acronym there. Then, as far as the white paper 2.0, we're working on a white paper to reflect our goals a little bit better now. Obviously, before we had the reactor, we didn't know how big of an opportunity it was, and everything has kind of shifted to be focused around that. And this white paper is going to reflect that, and yeah, essentially be a technical doc as well as a business doc covering the reactor and how it's going to affect all the other products, as well as like the use cases and stuff associated with it. And then we have the AVAX and Snow Trace integration. So it's exciting.
So, would you say that it's fair to say, TJ, that the remainder of this Q4 is twofold? One is to continue that sort of development across a sort of substantial timeline that you've just highlighted, and also sort of secondly, to be sort of sequentially, whilst doing that, trying to onboard as many sort of projects and get our name out there as possible, as sort of far and as wide as possible.
Yeah, and then all the projects we deliver with, it's we're going to build that brand of impeccability. So absolutely.
Amazing. Do you want to touch over the sort of the remaining parts of the roadmap, and go through the entire thing?
Yeah, so I'm going to talk about the Crypto Command Console roadmap, because I know there's a lot of community members that are concerned with our legacy products, um, and then just how I view that moving forwards. So we're definitely still taking those products seriously. I mean, we're still paying AWS and Fira all the costs associated with them monthly. and we have upgrades planned for them in the future. The thing is, with the reactor, we're actually going to be building a dev community with that, and I believe it's going to be a shift in how open source developers are educated entirely in this space. So what I foresee in the future, and you guys might remember this with company that shall not be named, is it's eventually going to be community led. Um, so we're going to have that whole suite of products essentially led by members of the community that are developers, and we'll work with them tangentially. So that's exciting. But then, yeah, I mean, just touching over the rest of the reactor roadmap. I mean, we have the back end side of things, which will essentially allow us to compete with companies like Alchemy, as well as even work with them better, allowing anyone to just one click integrate with different products in the space. So let's say you have a let's say your Alchemy or Node.REAL or Chainlink, for example. On Q1 2023, the idea is that anyone building with the reactor will be able to click on any function or smart contract and just click an add button and then search for these contracts or search for a specific company, like Chainlink or like Alchemy. And then anything that they have that's Web3 facing will be put into that search engine. So there'll be a built in search engine in the reactor. And with one click, you're going to be able to add these contracts to the reactor and subscribe to them, and then visually view exactly how it connects to your data and what data is speaking to those Web3 contracts that you just put in that are productized. So that's exciting. Obviously, expanding our use cases in Q1, completing the UI APIs, and then Oracle's integration. So I mentioned Chainlink and Q2, Solana integration. So essentially doing exactly what we're doing in Solidity and over 20 different chains right now, but doing that with Rust and Solana. Partnership integrations, that's, I feel like in Q2, we're definitely going to be in some really good positioning to close partnerships with a better UI and UX, as well as back end features and a team interface. And the team interface is actually really exciting in Q2, I might say, because you're going to be able to work decentralized in the same IDE. Which essentially means that right now a developer, they work in an IDE or an integrated developer environment. They type their code out, they post it to GitHub, um, and that's that. It's kind of slow and not that efficient. And the idea is that with the team interface, the reactor will be a shared IDE. So 5, 6, 7 people can all work on their smart contracts and projects all in the same space, having live cursors, live comment threads, shared whiteboards. Um, I mean, it'd be like a Figma for Web3 coding. And then Q3 2023, we're talking about templates. So essentially, the user, they want to build an NFT marketplace. They just type in NFT marketplace, and we have all kinds of different templates in there based off of a web crawler crawling, Rarible, OpenSea, um, whatever NFT marketplaces are out there, taking those contracts and then putting them into templates for people to just easily pick up and use. Um, then we have the AI problem alerts and detection system. So we actually have a semblance of that right now, um, which is our problem console. That's live, which shows any broken dependencies to the developer as they're coding, as well as errors. And essentially, this AI system is just a way to automate that process. Because one vertical we think we can target is a subscription based product, which will allow people to subscribe to any code base. And every time that code base is changed, the reactor will notify them. So let's say that one of you guys has $1 million in a project and the code is changed, the reactor will tell you that it was changed, and if it's a potential exploit waiting to happen, and you can take your money out before it gets drained. And then other EVM integration finalization. So we're going to be adding more EVMs in 2023 Q3 as well. Q4 is exciting because that's another vertical we're looking at targeting, which is an entire marketplace by which people will be able to develop their dApps, push them to one place, and essentially have a decentralized app store, which is huge considering that no one's really doing that yet, and they don't have technology like the Reactor to push their dApps out, as well as make their dApps secure. So any dApp on our dApp store is going to have an audit score and a percentage point indicating um, how good the code is, or what percentage of it is audited, with the remaining percent actually being shown graphically, so anyone will be able to see if there's exploits in the code just by looking in the details of the screen, similar to your Apple App Store right now. You look at a game like Clash Royale, for example, and you look in the description. In our description for our dApp store, we're actually going to have um, the potential exploits waiting to happen, as well as a graphical representation of the code used to create that dApp. So anyone putting money into whatever dApp it is on the store, they're going to be able to see if there's a potential exploit. Then there's Web 2 integrations, so mapping different languages like MQL, SQL, MySQL, opening us up to mapping those databases and being able to connect them with Web3 functionalities, which is a huge potential market in and of itself. And then AI UI upgrades all throughout Q1 2024, and investigating enterprise resource planning. So that was a little bit long-winded,
It
but
was.
I
I
hope
had
you can
about
appreciate
four or
that.
five questions there, TJ, but I thought it'd be just best just to let you finish. But I
Oh,
think
what were your questions?
um, no, no. I mean, so I was going to go back to the initial part you spoke about with Chainlink back in Q1. Q1 23, with regard to sort of being able to search for sort of oracles and giving those different options. Would you akin that to a sort of a widget sort of process that just to save time, or is it more of a guidance for people who sort of
Yeah.
necessarily are looking for a solution?
Well, George, so it's actually going to be highlighted in a pitch deck that I'm working on right now, which the community should have access to soon. But essentially, it's a one-click product integration. So Chainlink is one of many products that allow users to connect their contracts with things outside of Web3 that aren't necessarily smart contracts in and of themselves. Chainlink being a data oracle, right? The way you connect it right now is manually. You have to put it into the contract manually, and it's kind of hard to know exactly where it's pulling the data. I mean, people aren't using Chainlink properly, to be honest. I think some 80% of the people that say they're partnered with them are just doing that for validation purposes. They aren't actually doing anything with them. Unfortunately, they're just kind of using that language partnership to validate their project. And essentially, what we're doing is we're just going to allow someone to click on their contract in the reactor, click on a function within the contract, and then just click an add button. They type Chainlink, and they can connect to all their different products with a click. So they click VRF, for example, they click price feeds, they press add, and then it's added into the contract automatically. And from there, they can see exactly how it connects to the different data endpoints, what data it's pulling from. And one, it makes it easier to integrate, and two, it makes the customer support process a lot easier for all these Web3 companies that will be in our library.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you very much. And the other one was I forgot the other one, TJ, if I'm honest. I had another question. But anyway, enough about my questions that I thought people would possibly like to hear. Just to clarify, I knew the answer to that. I just wanted TJ to elaborate a little bit on that point. Um, so just TJ, I'm just going to scan through the Twitter space and see if there's any questions in there. Um, and then we'll go to Discord AMA questions. Okay, so with having a place for devs to collaborate, would it also be a place to meet other devs, projects, marketeers, etc.? So I'm guessing that's from Crypto Keith. I'm guessing that is a more of a social tool to that. Whereas in my head, I was thinking what you were saying, live cursors be Dropbox paper, Google Docs,
Yeah. So
Figma, or yeah.
yeah, Crypto Keith. So we're gonna have that shared IDE where people can collaborate with each other live, pushing products live, and meeting with each other live over code, suggesting on code. As far as the social aspect, we're actually looking at an Arc Developer Academy. We're sort of like enterprise Ethereum Alliance, but for Arc, by which, yeah, I mean, developers using Arc, marketers that are companies that are using Arc, everyone will be able to collaborate and meet each other and socialize within there. And we definitely think there's a precedent for this because Arc is, I mean, it's a tectonic shift in the landscape. People can push their smart contracts over 95% faster and cheaper. So there's definitely going to be a place for all those people to meet together and learn about ARC and grow as a community, which
TJ,
is
on top.
why, yeah.
Sorry. Go
Or
on.
no, I was saying, which is why, we think it's wise long term for a lot of our legacy products and future products besides the reactor to be led in a sort of DAO like fashion with this community, because our community has always been awesome.
Noted and agreed. And my question would be to that sort of an interface. What does that do from a security perspective? Does that open you up to more exploits yourself?
The team interface.
Yes, the team interface. So everyone be able to log into one live document. Does that create additional security concerns or?
Oh, absolutely not. So that smart contract, it's essentially like a GitHub. I mean, GitHub right now, there's whatever developers have access to it can access it, right? Ours will be even more secure because the project will be like a contract address and only specific wallet addresses can interact with it. So it's going to be cryptographically secure.
Awesome. Thank you very much. So on to Discord now. A slight tangent, this one, from John A. When will you start YouTube streaming? I missed your intelligence and impeccable looks. I swear this is actually a question. This isn't me making this up. This Discord thing is nice, but if we want huge adoption, we will need to be where people are and do their research. So that's basically to sort of summarize. Obviously, as we were in our full flow, um, we were across Reddit, YouTube, we tried TikTok, Instagram, and as we've obviously downsized slightly, we've shrunk our view down to Discord, Twitter, and Telegram. So Jordan, to answer your question, going forward, we will start to sort of push out as we can afford to expand again and to look into these areas. But we do have an expert in YouTube and someone with lots of experience in Logan in the creative area, and the algorithm is specifically hard to crack. But we will be uploading stuff onto YouTube, and we will be looking to do live streams across as we get busier and busier, and we take the product further and further. Um, TJ, one for
Well,
you.
can I
Oh,
touch
go
on
on.
that?
Yeah, of course, of course.
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely looking at expanding across different social mediums, guys. I've been meeting with Logan because of his sorry, because of his experience with YouTube, and we're definitely looking at getting back into that. I mean, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with this, but he actually ran the YouTube for some pretty big people in the past, and we can definitely push out some good content on YouTube and even TikTok and anything video based that'll help expand the base.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And the next question is from Hooligan. Didn't take long to come into some sort of financial question. How much of this roadmap does the project currently have runway for? It's quite a good question, to be fair. Are you depending on reactor revenue, have faith in that revenue to get to the command console items now a year from now? So to summarize, he's saying is that do you have enough money to survive the entire roadmap on its own? Um, um, and and then his backup question is, or are you depending on the reactor revenue? I can answer this one if you want, TJ. Not that you can't, but just
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have that big chunk of cash as well as projects that we're actually about to lock in. But yeah, you can talk on that.
thank you. In short, that is another reason why we have pushed the reactor. Not only because it is a groundbreaking product that people are becoming very excited over, quite rightly over, is the fact that it will generate through its SaaS model finance revenue, actual sort of income much faster than the sort of the legacy products would do. So yes, there is a business strategic decision made there that that is what we will go with in order to subsidize that revenue. So in order for us to make money. And get a runway and then take on more people, and the snowball effect goes from there. So yes, it is a tactical decision on our behalf. Um, TJ, okay. What do you see as the advisor's role now the roadmap is out? Are they linked slash helping to get any finance for ARC or any sex listings? CEX
Yes,
specifically.
they're assisting by using their networks, networking for us, mentioning us and meetings that they have. They're assisting a lot. I mean, I'm sure you guys are familiar with this, but our advisors collectively have sold well over $1 billion in business value and have raised several tens of millions. So we're positioning ourselves to get our valuation higher and then be able to raise capital as well.
Amazing, thanks. I'll just add to that is that I'm in all of the advisor calls with them, and their wealth of knowledge and how they see things is remarkable. And it's very, very useful having them and having their opinion. Just to sort of cast an eye over sort of all types of different sort of business decisions that we have. So they are incredibly useful to have with their experience. So I'm very much glad that they're on board. So, since we can see exploits in the codes, would it be feasible right now to post certain exploits when smart contracts get exploited? Brackets, there are a lot of hacks slash exploits going on with millions lost. Post it online to get more eyes onto the project. That's from Silverfan.
Oh, like a social media campaign to find these exploits and post them. I mean, we've thought about that, but that opens us up to scrutiny because people, like, let's say someone gets hacked off that exploit, they don't fix it fast enough. All of a sudden, we look like the bad guy. Um, so, I mean, if you have like ideas around how we can avoid that, I'd definitely be willing to hear them.
Yeah, it's a very good point. It's all well and good raising these things. Not only do you put people's noses out of joint in the specific projects, if they're very prideful, that you also have the same issue that TJ said there, is that you can actually cause a problem that doesn't necessarily exist at that specific point in time. Um, I'll ignore Jasper's question. Um, I would like to hear some more on the revenue model and the ways the tokens will be made more valuable. Number one, so sorry, TJ, there's more questions. Number one, and I'll do these one by one so you can answer them one by one. What will the token use case be? Is there still revenue share?
Absolutely. And he said Jasper asked this question.
No, no, no. Jasper asked a stupid question before that. This is Yoderson.
Okay.
Sorry.
Um, Yeah, so the revenue model is you're going to be separated into three different classes. It's going to be $99 to access the reactor as a normal user on a monthly basis. It'll be a monthly fee, and then $150 as a small team user, and $250 as a enterprise user. As far as the ARC token utility, it's actually extremely utilitarian in this case because to access the reactor period, you're going to need to stake 10,000 ARC. And then if you want discounts on the reactor, you're going to stake even more ARC. So you can imagine any company, any person using the reactor, they need to have ARC staked. and they're incentivized to stake a lot of ARC to discount their fees even further. Um, and then as far as the revenue sharing model, so I mentioned this in previous AMAs. Um, we are still looking at doing that, but albeit in a roundabout way with a reflection token and not actually ARC itself. So ARC tokens will access it through a reflection mechanism. It just won't be ARC tokens themselves, because technically that makes ARC a security. ARC will stay a utility, and ARC will give people access to a securitized version of a token. It's just we're not making ARC a security in itself. So a perfect example of that is you have 1,000 ARC tokens. You want to stake them to access revenue share. You don't get revenue share exactly for your ARC tokens. You stake your ARC tokens. You get access to Stark tokens. Stark tokens are made instantly when you stake. You hold your ARC because the ARC isn't technically staked. The Stark tokens are staked. Then when you sell, the liquidity comes out of the Stark pool, and you can move your ARC again. Yeah, it's essentially like a 3-step process that insulates people from security risks. But yeah, I mean, to answer your question really in depth, um, we're definitely still planning to do that.
Thank you, TJ. I hope that's loud and clear for everyone. You can pass that on. That's about the third or fourth time I think we have answered that question. Um, Not having to dig at you, Yoda-san, just saying. The second question he had is, when will we know more about the reactor pricing, also the values? TJ just covered that. I hope he's just covered that in that sort of three-stage price plan. For reactor users, we will have to stake tokens. Is that the current single size staking farm or a specific one? That's a good point, TG. Where will those tokens that they stake be? Would they just be held in a wallet somewhere
There'll
hidden
be
away?
separate farms. So we don't want to take away from the APY from people that are in our current farms right now. But the way people that are in our current farms right now will access benefits is they'll actually be able to loan their ARC out in the future to people that need ARC staked in order to access discounts. So imagine, like, for example, imagine you're an ARC whale right now, and there's a large Web2 company. They have 1 million users. They're developing a platform, and they're going to push 10,000 times in a month. Those push fees are going to cost a lot. So they're incentivized to have 1 million ARC staked because it's going to discount them around 50% off. They'll actually be able to access that ARC, albeit through like a whale or someone else providing their ARC to them, sort of loaning it out. And then that whale will be able to be compensated directly off the discount they're creating for the company.
Okay. A follow-up question there, TJ. So the price seems on the low end. If I'm a company, do I need 10,000 total, or 10,000 per employee slash user slash wallet?
10,000 per wallet.
Yeah. So if I've got a company with 20 developers, I'm on an enterprise deal, which will give me, I won't have to pay 10,000 per wallet necessarily, but a slight reduced rate. Is that correct?
No, I mean either you
No.
do 200,000 in one go or you do 10,000 a wallet.
Okay, so the reduction in price is for um, the enterprise plans are for the subscription fees, but the 10,000 per wallet is a non-movable fee.
Well, it's not non-movable. I mean, I don't want to get everyone cracked up on hopium right now, but let's say we do what we're planning to do. ARC is obviously going to be worth a lot more than it is right now. So not everyone will be able to afford 10,000 ARC staked. That will move down in the future to a flat dollar amount, but represented in ARC. Um, and that's to keep the network secure and provide utility for ARC holders and anyone using the ARC token. Um, but yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, I appreciate that. If we're at 30 cents, then 10,000 arcs going to be quite crippling.
Yeah.
Um, um, any updates on on the centralized exchange listings, um, that's come from sort of two people have asked that, so um, I can answer that if you want to, Jay.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, no. I'm joking. We have a couple of advisors who do have specific connections from their time in the space that they are speaking with. We are not actively seeking any centralized exchanges. It's not. It's just quite simply not worth spending any money on
Well,
those
yeah,
at this given time.
and to illustrate, guys, I mean, the day we listed on Gate, and they charged us. I mean, the centralized exchanges, they charge you money to list on them. Russia attacked Ukraine the exact same day, and we essentially spent money for our tokens to be dumped. It just didn't work out, and it wasn't a great idea. So the idea is that when we list in the future, it'll be when we have, room to expand a product out, and people want to hold ARC. We don't want to just give people ARC for them to dump. Um, but yeah.
Yeah, agreed. It's a double-edged sword. Everyone thinks that it pumps your token. It absolutely doesn't. It allows people to sell very, very cheaply if gas is high as well. So, yes, but of course, in the future, um, we want it to be the same situation where it was with the previous company, and where exchanges will just pick up on the volume and the tempo and the hype around the company, and that they will then just decide to maybe market buy liquidity, and they will list themselves, which we've had done before. So I absolutely no doubt that that will be something in the
Well,
distant future that will happen.
and it's kind of funny. So I'm sure you get a ton of DMs about listing on like Binance and big exchanges. It's, oh, I'm a listing manager, and
Yeah.
there's scams, right? But
Oh
I was actually
yes.
looking at my LinkedIn, and one of Binance's people that's in charge of partnerships, they were checking out my LinkedIn the other day. So I thought that was interesting. I mean, the big exchanges that we want to list with, they're not like the other ones where you just spend a lot of money up front and then people dump the token. They actually help out, which is like Binance and Coinbase and stuff like that.
Yeah. Agreed.
FTX. Yeah.
Agreed. And that's a little way away. Let's not get caught up on any of that yet, guys. There's a long way to go till there. I'm not trying to be a party pooper there, but it's something that will come with time. You'd feel confident. You'll feel confident when token volume and all these other sort of things are lining up, and you'll just know that that's the time. So yeah, it's always on the cards. And the second part to the Hood's question was, please explain the wrapped arc further. Stark, or you know,
So that's just a placeholder name. But the
I love
idea
it.
is that wrap token that ARC accesses, that's the token that would be scrutinized if it ever came down to it. It wouldn't be ARC. ARC will remain a utility token, and the other token is what would be scrutinized.
Perfect. So in short, am I right in saying something along the lines of, um, if you're staking X amount of ARC, you are then airdropped maybe, or then you redeem Stark instead. So you get this other token that then you can maybe exchange for ARC.
Well, sort of. So technically, the way I see it working is, let's say you have a million ARC in your wallet. You're not required to stake the ARC, but if you want Stark, then what you do is you enter into a Stark staking contract, and it'll generate 1 million Stark. It'll stake that Stark, with the requirement that you can't move ARC out of your or out of your address. So the ARC isn't technically staked, but the Stark is. And if your ARC stays in your wallet for 30 days, not being locked into a contract, but literally just staying there, like you don't move it, then the Stark contract gets finished. Then you can sell the Stark out of that liquidity pool that has access to different revenues. And it
That
sounds
makes
complicated, but it's going to be very simple. I mean, the Stark process will be like something in the background.
Yes. Hope that's answered that question. So we've got our resident village idiot asking questions. Let me just go through. Um, Fair question. Tell us how the OKX partnership is going. I mean, yeah, it's up to you if you
Yeah,
want to. Yeah, so we've obviously we've um, been in ongoing discussions with OKXC, an ongoing development as the reactor develops over time. There are a couple of projects I won't name that they have sent across to us, auditing based projects that they have on their chain that we will be working um, with the reactor. So going forward, there will be more announcements about that as it develops, but these things take time and we will announce them when there's specific information worth announcing. But yes, there are two projects. I've seen them, I've spoken to them, I know their names, and no, Sam, you're not going to find out about those names yet because it's not that stage yet. So apologies. Um,
yeah,
so yeah, that's how we're going to do it from now on. We're not just going to be firing out hopium. We will announce things when they are credible to announce, and when there's and when there's just cause, and when both parties are comfortable with that sort of announcement. But yeah, it's going well. It's just these things going to take time to develop um the reactor develops. So um, I've got to the end of the AMA questions at the moment. I'm going to pop back to Twitter, see if there's any on there. If not, then I'm going to invite Jasper up to talk a little bit about Arc-Apes, because I do believe he has some news to say about this project. Jasper, are you on the Arc company? No.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
I'm present.
Oh, there he is. There he is. Okay, mate. I will. You have the floor.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't want to take up too much of everybody's time, but just to say that on behalf of the ARC team, I'm very proud to announce that we've sold out in under 24 hours. I mean, yeah, just it's a show to me of quite how powerful the art community is, and I mean, I think we know this as a team and have done since the beginning that we're very lucky to be supported by so many intelligent and caring people. So yeah, thank you so much to all of you guys that supported. Thank you to Juice for creating incredible artwork, and I'm glad that I can bring people together and help to keep everybody excited. It's going to be a crazy ride from here, guys. Honestly, so I'm so glad that everybody is here at the moment to really enjoy it with us.
Thanks very much, Jasper. And yeah, the work over the last 4 months on this back and forth on this project with the creator, just has I'm glad it's paid off because I actually thought you were going to sell any, mate. If I'm honest, I bought one out of sympathy, that I can now sell because I haven't got to keep it anymore. But no, joking aside, it's amazing. And again, the community. I've been hopping about a few other communities recently, and the caliber of people it's there's a miles apart between communities. So it's yeah, we're very grateful to have you guys here for this ride. And Jasper, just whilst you're here, do you, is there anything any I know who you've been speaking to back and forth, but is there any information you can give us at this stage? Any numbers of people or projects? Any sort of top hundreds and anything at all you can eke out that's not going to get you sacked?
Yeah, I mean, again, like I've always said this. Like, I would much rather let my work and my actions speak than any as you mentioned, hopium or promising. But I mean, look, we have something cool for you guys coming next week. We have a use case for a major chain which was specifically requested by them, having heard about Reactor. So yeah, I hope you guys are excited for that. And as I said, this train is just leaving the station. This is only the beginning of what is gonna be a great ride. So yeah, stay tuned for a cool video next week with a pretty big project which specifically asked for it, and that will be the beginning, hopefully, of some great successes in that regard.
Amazing. Thanks for your hard work, Jasper. And thank you very much.
great to
Pass
have
your
you.
thanks on to Juiced as well.
Yeah,
We've
100%. Have a great weekend, guys.
Thanks, mate. Um, we just had one question has popped up on Twitter. It is, how will you try to grow the community? Only partnering with small caps will not bring ARC to the masses. I mean, that is not a question. It's a question followed by a statement.
It's a
Correct.
question, or it's a statement disguised as a question.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, it is. Yeah.
we are working on a lot of these big fish partnerships, and they are interested, but just for a frame of reference, that's not typically how it works. Usually people start with the small stuff, then they move on towards the larger partnerships. But thankfully, we've been doing both. I mean, we're talking about OKX. George,
Don't
what's
do it. Don't do it.
okay?
Don't do it.
I
I
was
can feel
gonna
that
say, what's
very
the
well.
progress on that? I know they're doing DD on their end.
Yeah, but that's
Yep.
another project as well that Enigma's been working on. And I won't drop the name of that because that's not come out yet. But the small projects like CIC and stuff, these aren't ones that people like Enigma and some of the other advisors are spending huge, in fact, any amount of time on. They're sort of small caveat ones. The big ones they're concentrating on. They're not interested, and that's where the advisors bring so much extra clout. Is that they're not, but whereas before, we would match, sort of community to community. So we'd be looking at a 30,000 follow community or a
Well,
40,000 at tops.
and can I add something, George?
Yeah, of course,
I
man.
mean, to be fair, the Kick partnership, I mean, that's nothing to scoff at. We're talking about 20, 30 developers willing to pay a subscription fees to the reactor. That validates our business model. Thing is, most of the time, unless you have an amazing product like the reactor, you can't go to these big partners before starting with small ones because they don't know if you have product market fit. But 30 people paying for subscription fees, that validates the reactor.
Agreed. I wasn't insinuating that there was no use case for that. Sorry, the point I'm making is that when people look at those um the community expansion, they're not looking at the business case from a financial aspect. They're looking at sort of how are you going to get that name out there. And the only point I was making is that what you're not seeing is some of the bigger names that are being worked on by the advisors, which spend hours and hours back and forth for conversations, and like TG said, these things, they take copious amounts of time. You can't, it's not a case of just like a few phone calls and then they're like, yeah, let's do this. It's a slow process, and I've seen that. So it's very grateful for the work they do in the shadows. So I hope we answered that question. If not, I will. Right, is it any more questions here, guys? Can anyone still hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I can
yeah.
hear you.
Sorry, it went really
Does
quiet.
anyone want to hop on stage?
Yeah, of course. Anyone want to hop on stage? And in the meantime, whilst we're waiting for people to jump up, we just had something. Many small partners can be the bread and butter and often be the most enthusiastic. Yes, we 100% we agree with that. Anyone want to jump up? We'll hear your dulcet tones. Any questions for me, TJ, or Jasper at this stage about anything? Safe for work? No? Nothing at all, guys? Anything else? One last check of the Discord.
Hopefully, we covered it.
Yeah. No, that's it. Okay. TJ, thank you so much for your time and to going through the roadmap in great detail. Thank you to Jasper for hopping up, talking about the Arc Apes and all your work over the last 4 months. And thank you to the community for hopping onto this Twitter space, asking some profound questions, some not so profound, Sam. And yeah, it's great to always have you, no matter how many there are. And we will see you guys in the Discord and across all our social media channels.
Yeah, thanks everyone. You guys make it all worth it, and I hope that our roadmap, I hope you guys are excited about that because there's a lot to look forward to. Have a great
Amazing.
weekend, everyone.
Cheers, TJ. Thanks very much, everyone.
Cheers.